Welcome back. Backlash growing against former Trump cabinet member Nikki Haley. In a major about-face, Haley sharply criticizing her former boss over several issues during an interview last week. And now it seems Haley's comments are being seriously backfiring against her. So White House correspondent John Gizzi joining us now with more on that. John.
Well, Nikki Haley didn't pull any punches in the interview about her former boss, Donald Trump. The one-time South Carolina governor and United Nations ambassador under Trump said we shouldn't have followed him, we shouldn't have listened to him, and we shouldn't make that mistake again. We can't. Strong medicine, all right, and it's getting some backlash already. In South Carolina, sources close to the state Republican Party told Newsmax that Facebook posts and tweets are very strong in their language against the former governor, once considered the most popular Republican in the Palmetto State. As one source close to the party put it, if she thought this was going to be something positive, it belly flopped. Anti-Trumpers, too, were very skeptical about the former Trump administration official making these remarks. Congressman Adam Kinzinger of Illinois, one of the 10 Republicans to vote for impeachment, said, and I quote, "You can't have it both ways, Governor. You're either for him or against him, either positive or anti-Trump." Well, that's the general reaction that we're hearing at first. But others are taking a wait-and-see attitude. I spoke to former New Hampshire Attorney General Tom Rath, a player in the quadrennial presidential primary, and he said that many are looking for a candidate outside Trump world now. But Haley has to know that she can't be the heir apparent and she can't be the anti-Trump. To that goal, she's taken the right step in coming out early and saying where she is. We're obviously going to hear more about this and about other Republican presidential candidates. Back to you.
All right, John Gizzi, thank you so much.
All right, for reaction now to Haley's decision there, Nikki Haley's decision, we'll bring our panelists in. Right now we have Rick Green, founder of Harris Jr., host of the David Harris Jr. Show and podcast, and Jonathan Gilliam, former FBI agent, former Navy SEAL, and author of Sheep No More, the book there on your screen. Good to see everyone here. Rick, I'll start with you on this. Surprising yes or no, and why on Nikki Haley parting ways with her support for President Trump and then the backlash she's getting over it?
Hey, Sean, good to be back with you, man. Look, she was a pretty decent governor of South Carolina, certainly better than a lot of these Republican-turned dictators across the country right now, and a good secretary to the United Nations. Served Donald Trump well, I think, and loyal and faithful as far as we know. And we don't know if anything went on behind the scenes that made it worse, but she certainly hasn't spoken to that. And based on her comments, it's all about what happened on January 6th. And if that's the case, we only have two options in terms of conclusions based on what she's done. Either, number one, she was naive enough to be fooled by the very, very fake, deceptive, dishonest dog and pony show that was the show trial of Rascal and Spywell, or maybe she wasn't fooled by it, and I don't think that's the case, and maybe she's just being a politician and putting her finger to the wind, and she wants to be the anti-Trump for 2024. If that's the case, she's the perfect nominee for the Never-Trumpers, for the Lincoln Project deviants, and for that very small group of Republicans that actually got tired of winning under Donald Trump. She's a great nominee for them because they prefer to lose as long as the media is fawning over them.
David, your thoughts? You know, we're seeing so many people saying that Trump still has so much support, you know, and so many people hoping to see him run again. Why would she make this big about face and completely switch gears?
Well, I think a lot of what Rick said is absolutely 100% correct. I think that she either was swept into the belief that this mainstream media, the propagandists that had pushed in this narrative about January 6th, she either believes that or she is just pushing for her own presidential race. I think that's obvious. But I think what she didn't take into account is that there is still so much massive support for President Donald J. Trump. We'd love to see him run again. We can't wait for the opportunity to support him. And I think she should have waited until after the impeachment trial was over before she made those remarks. I think she did it beforehand. She showed her cards, and she showed that she's not loyal to the man that was loyal to her. I mean, he gave her an absolute amazing opportunity. Her rise at becoming secretary to the United Nations was something that she should have really appreciated the man that put her in that position. And instead, she kowtowed to the big tech mob, to the swamp, and to the Never Trump Republicans that don't want to see Trump in office any longer. I think it shows that she is fearful of the swamp. She's fearful of being taken out, and that's definitely not somebody that I want to support for president.
Metaphorically speaking, playing political poker, if you will, as David was pointing out, she showed her cards early. Why did she have to come out with that statement at this exact time? Would you have waited on it? Because it is having an impact potentially on her political future, John.
Well, let me just say I'm going to be a little bit more harsh on Nikki Haley. Nikki Haley flip-flops like a fish out of water, and I think that what we look at politicians in this day and age, and I'm going to put the majority of criticism right now on the Republican Party, because the Democrat Party, they pretty much fall right in line, and they don't flip-flop on their narrative, right? They stick with their narrative. But when we look at the Republican Party, it's filled with people like Nikki Haley that are simply out for themselves. And what she did in her rise to, to being an ambassador and all the things that she's done through politics, when we look at the totality of what a lot of these people do is they put their name out there. Their name is really what gets bigger. They're really good at self-promoting. And somebody like Nikki Haley, to turn around, I don't think she was fooled by what happened on January 6th or what media said or this and that. I think she is just a dirty politician who flip-flops back and forth, and she is the perfect example of what we need to get out of the Republican Party, because she's literally one of the people who's destroying the cohesiveness of real conservatism.
Rick Green, David Harris Jr., Jonathan Gilliam. We'll leave it right there for now, but stick around. You'll be back in just a minute.
Biden announcing